Okay, guys, we have a lot to cover. I really need you to stay focused. Hopefully you are following the recent messages in this channel. If not, guys, please watch the links in the description field. I'm going to put up so many amazing things are just coming together, guys, so perfectly, okay? I'm going to share with you some extraordinary things, okay? I'm going to just briefly mention many of them to you, and you may not have any idea what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the notes of what I'm sharing in the description field. I'm going to have other videos where I've covered these topics already in more detail. But guys, so many things are coming together. I've been sharing with you on the four, okay? Well, there's two things we're principally going to talk about in this message. The connections between Revelation chapter 7 and 8 with Numbers chapters 1 through 10. If you've ever read the Bible in a whole year and you got to Numbers, you probably weren't that excited. But you would have been if you know the information I'm about to tell you in this message. Later on, at the end of the message, I'm going to talk about the Council of the 120, okay? But, guys, let's get right into it. We're going to first do a bit of recap of what we talked about in the last 3 videos about the 4. All right? Now, the video prior to this one, which I also hope you watch, is the Esther's preparation. How in Song of Solomon, in Esther, the book of Esther, and the book of Revelation all clearly give us this, this story of Esther's preparation, the incense, the anointing oils, right? Okay. Now that begins this one as we continue. The 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each one having harps and golden bowls full of odors. What are those odors? Incense. Esther's incense, okay? So that we clearly see with the 4 beasts and 24 elders, okay? So we told you before about that council. We're going to talk about that later in the video. Then we see the 4 camps, and the 4 camps is Revelation 7:1. Revelation 7:1, after I saw these things, there are 4 angels, which we know are cherubim, lion, ox, man, eagle, standing on the 4 corners of the earth, east, west, south, north, okay, holding the 4 winds, which are the wheels. So, as we've shown you before, I'll show you again, that is the structure of the Lord's cherubim, okay? We've shown you this before, and here you have the wheels, you have the living creatures positioned, north, south, east, and west. So that's clearly what we can see in Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. Now, the other thing that's happening there in Revelation 7:1 is, this is exactly what the Lord Jesus Christ said. He would send his angels with a great voice. Remember, there's a voice of a trumpet. And he will gather together his elect from the 4 winds. So, clearly in Revelation 7, okay, verse 1, and Matthew 24, verse 31, these 4 winds are one and the same, the sealing of the servants of God in their forehead. Okay, so we know this. Then we go to Revelation chapter 8. Revelation chapter 8. When he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for the space about a half an hour. Now, guys, most of the description that we see in Revelation chapter 8 has to do with the feast or the Day of Atonement, okay? And Day of Atonement, the priest will go into the Holy of Holies offering prayers, incense to the saints, and he would wait. There would be silence until that would be received, okay? So many of the events here in Revelation 8 relate to the 7th month, all right? But we're going to see some things where it's also in the 1st month, so you got to stay tuned. Okay. And I saw 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Okay. Now we're going to also see the 7 trumpets in the 1st month. Okay. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden spoon. Okay. Now, this is the thing we're going to get into this message, guys. I know many of you are new and you don't know these messages. These are things I talked about years ago, and please, please watch the links. He had a golden spoon, okay? Now, what a golden spoon is, this is a spoon. Obviously, it's a small one. It can also be larger, But what this angel is doing is getting a golden spoon, and there was given to him much incense. All right? Now again, we've been telling you about Esther's preparation. So here we have a golden spoon, and we have Esther's preparation, and we know that she offers her incense, the preparation, her intimacy with the Lord. Okay? All right, these things we know. Now, that he should offer it with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. Okay? And the smoke of the incense which came up with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took that spoon and filled it with fire from the altar and cast it to the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Okay? So, clearly here we have this spoon. Okay, we have this incense. So what this means is that Esther would have had to complete her preparation, the 12 months of preparation. 6 months of myrrh and 6 months of sweet odors, right? Okay, now, I'm showing you this spoon. I'm showing you this incense for a reason. Now, the next thing I want to do is tell you about Numbers chapters 1 through 10. And Numbers 1 through 10, I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to summarize to you the things that we've been sharing, because they all come together perfectly. This is amazing. Okay, in Numbers chapter 1, we've been sharing with you, and we've been going over in our study, guys, of the camps. So you have camps, and the first thing in the camps, guys, is the rulers. Okay, there's 12 rulers. Okay, and they're given a rod, they're given a staff. Okay, and they then would be the leaders of each tribe. So you have 12 rulers. Okay, they're given the rod of iron. This is what happens in the 7th month. We know with the woman clothed with the sun, she births the man-child who's given what? A rod of iron. Now, who is this? Who are these 12? They're the apostles. They're the 12 apostles. Lord Jesus said, you know, the 12 apostles, you will judge the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So this is one of those videos I strongly encourage you to watch. We talk about the 12 tribes, the 12 rulers, and the virgins. Okay, definitely watch this, guys. Watch this previous message, because that is Numbers chapter 1. Okay. Then, as we told you before, in Numbers chapter 2, we have the assembly of the camps, east, west, south, north. Okay, so you have the positions. Okay, so there's a principal tribe. So there's 4 standards: lion, ox, man, eagle. And then there's Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, Dan. Okay, so we went over that before. As the trumpet is blown, the camps assemble. So that's Numbers chapter 2. All right, Numbers chapter 3 begins the census. Okay, now, the other thing I also encourage you to watch is we did the census. Okay, and the census is for the army. Okay, so the army is ordered, and we've done a precise number of the army. Because in the last days, we also have an army. We also have an assembly taking place right now as the trumpet is being blown in Numbers, okay, chapter 2, 3, and 4, I believe. Okay, but these are the exact numbering. So what is necessary to do is, before you go to war, you must have a census. You must number the precise troops in the battle. Okay, and that's what God is doing right now. He's numbering the troops, okay, and assembling them by these orders. All right, so the tribe of Levi is Numbers chapter 3. Now, the tribe of Levi relates to a third tried by the fire. Did I bring that? I did. Good. Okay. This is another, these are all messages, guys, that you have to watch. A third tried by the fire. That relates to the tribe of Levi, okay, and that's a precise number. So you have 12 tribes, and Levi were the priests. But we know in the last days, we're kings and priests. However, there still is a numbering of the people for the census based on all these tribes. Okay, Numbers chapter 4 talks about the Ark of the Covenant. It also talks about something else, guys. It talks about the light of the menorah. I'm just going to put a link in the description field. I'm not going to get into it. I have too much to cover, but please watch the video on He is the Light. Glory to his name. Okay, now, once we get to Numbers chapter 5, Numbers chapter 5, guys, is the jealousy offering. Now, some of you are asking, how do I know where I am in this camp? Well, one of the things you can do is something called the jealousy offering. If the man was jealous of his wife, the husband was jealous of his wife, he would do a procedure, take her to the priest, and there would be a test done to determine if she were unfaithful or not. Okay, this is what Ruth did. Ruth did the same thing. Boaz gave her something bitter to drink, either gall or vinegar. I can't recall off the top of my head, but Ruth did this, okay? And she drank it and she was fine, okay? But it gives us this whole procedure in Numbers chapter 5, okay? So you can do that. I have a whole video on that explaining the jealousy offering. Then we get to Numbers chapter 6. And this is why my hair is cut. So you may watch the videos, you may see me with long hair, you wonder, what are you doing, man? I was doing a Nazarite vow. That's what I was doing. It's in Numbers chapter 6. It's a Nazarite vow. You commit yourself unto God to grow your hair, okay? There's a whole description of it. It completed on the Day of Atonement, 2017. I cut my hair, all right? But I was doing the Nazarite vow, okay? So, guys, everything in these chapters is stuff that I've been teaching on. And I'm amazed that all of it, Numbers 1 through 10, lines up perfectly to the precise hour we are now in. Okay, now we get to Numbers chapter 7. Actually, let me jump over Numbers chapter 7. Numbers chapter 7, guys, is the longest chapter in the Bible, except for Psalm 119. So it has, It has 89 verses. So I'm going to read all 89 verses. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm just going to skip Numbers chapter 7 for a second. I'm going to come back to it. But Numbers chapter 8, this one as well gives procedures for the priests and the dedication. Because what's happening, guys, is the army is assembled, then the priests are put in order, and then Moses dedicates the tabernacle. These are all the things I've been telling you. Numbering the troops, measuring the temple. Okay, this is measuring the temple. This is 2 cubits. Okay, you have to measure the temple. And the other thing is Numbers chapter 9 is Passover. Okay, Passover is coming up, obviously. And the procedures of Passover are in Numbers chapter 9. When we get to, actually later in Numbers chapter 9, it talks about the dedication of the tabernacle, and the glory of God came down like fire on the tabernacle, okay? Then when we get to Numbers chapter 10, it gives the procedures of the trumpets, okay? It gives you 2 trumpets, okay? There's 2 types of trumpets. Why? Because there's the voice of the trumpet, and there's a phone, voice of the trumpet, and salpizo, trumpet, okay? So these gather from the east parts and south parts, okay? And they were assembled by tribe, okay? They're assembled by east, west, south, north, lion, ox, man, eagle, with a banner and a standard, okay? And Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, Dan, okay? And so Numbers chapter 10 covers that. So guys, this is exactly what we've been saying and telling you over the last, few weeks or few months. Some of these messages are much older, but that is exactly what's going on, okay? Now, let's go back to Numbers chapter 7. I just wanted to give you all of that in a brief summary, Numbers chapter 7. Now, Numbers chapter 7, what you have here is each of the tribes give an offering unto the Lord, okay? So, the reason I keep showing you the spoon, okay, the reason I'm showing you the spoon so much is what they did is each tribe offered a spoon. And the spoon was full of incense, okay? So, what you have is each tribe had a day. Okay, so the tabernacle was offered, so you have the building goes up, the tabernacle goes up, and then you have 12 days. Okay, 12 days. Each day, the leader of the tribe and that tribe would bring an offering to Moses. They all brought the same offering. They all brought this spoon. Okay? And remember, this is the same spoon that we saw the angel offering full of incense, okay? And that's exactly what you have. Each one offers 1 spoon, 10 shekels of gold, full of incense, okay? So these are all the things that, I've been showing you. Now, how you measure this, okay? There's a precise measurement, but this is also what I've been telling you about with the shekel, okay? And so this also relates to the shekel of the sanctuary, okay? Now, in the shekel of the sanctuary, you would number the people. You would number them. And so here actually is a shekel. This is a shekel, but it's a 10 shekel. Okay, hopefully you can see 10. And I actually have 2 of them. This is another one. Okay, so each spoon, see 10 shekel, each spoon was 10 shekels, and the spoon was full of incense. Okay, this is an offering. Now what this means is if you add up each tribe, each one was 10 shekels, right? And there's 12 spoons. Well, 12 times 10 is 120. What this means is there's a man-child. The man-child is a number of people, 120 people, and they judge, they weigh, they measure the incense. Okay, just like you saw the angel, these are people. This is the man-child. Okay, they judge the virgins. Okay, they judge the lower echelon, if you were. Okay, and so each tribe has a day. So what you have is you have the first day of the first, which is actually tomorrow, is Nisan 1. It's New Year's. Okay, so you dedicate the temple, you build the temple. The next day, the tribes give these offerings. So you have 12 days. Okay, so what I'm getting at is that we have a significance of 12 days, guys. 12 days. This is the council of the 120, also judging the incense. Right? Okay. That's what we have clearly here in Numbers chapter 7. Now, it's very long because it goes through each of the offerings for each tribe. And it goes through an order of those tribes per day. So what we have is we have a space of time between the first day of the first month, Nisan 1, the year starts in the spring, okay, and you have Passovers on the 14th. So these 12 days are in there, okay, and Nisan 1 is tomorrow, okay. Now, the other thing that they offer is a bowl, okay. Remember that the 4 living creatures and 24 elders also had bowls full of odors of the incense. So these are all temple vessels. I climbed the mountain. I didn't have room for a bowl, but obviously you get the picture. There's a spoon, okay? There's a bowl, and there's a platter. And I have a message which I strongly encourage you to watch where I break this all down in more detail, okay? I'm just going to go through this quickly to explain what is going on in the context of time, okay? So you have these 12 tribes. You have these 12 spoons, you have 12 bowls, and 12 platters, okay? Now, the numbers of those added up, 120, is the total number of shekels that go into the spoons is people, okay? And those also relate to the other people mentioned with the bowls and the platters, okay? I'll just mention it just briefly, but basically what you have is each bowl is 70 shekels. Each platter is 130 shekels. That's 200. Times 12 tribes is 2,400, excuse me. Okay? Now what that means, guys, is that's the double figure. Okay? So the man-child is also like the virgins. So there's wise man-child and there's unwise man-child. Okay? So there's people that also won't make it that are part of this higher echelon is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? And the 2,400 you see in Numbers 7:85, the total weight of shekels, each of the total shekels, 2,400 shekels. Of the spoons, 120, okay? 120. So there, we have these numbering, and what's happening is these final figures are being calibrated, okay? These final people are so So that is what we have amazingly in Numbers chapters 1 through 10. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to mention about the menorah, I have a menorah on this shekel. I'm going to put it up close to the camera. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, there we got a menorah. See that? Okay, now a menorah, this menorah, you can see it as you know, it has 7 branches to it. Okay, now on those branches, guys, there are almond buds. So this one is actually not the best representation because, you know, maybe it's on a coin, but you can't see the buds. There's supposed to be almond buds, almond blossoms on the menorah. All right, now on the branches, on both the right and left, there are 3 almonds each. Almond blossoms, almond flowers, okay? In the center one, there are 4. That's a total of 22, okay? So there's 22 almond buds, almond blossoms, flowers from an almond on the menorah, okay? The menorah obviously has 7 branches, okay? And you may say, okay, Leland, what are you getting at? Well, guys, perfectly, the word in Hebrew, mawar, okay, where it talks about it in Numbers, what is it, Numbers chapter 4, okay, that word mawar is the same word used for the lights on the 4th day of creation. On the 4th day of creation, God said, let there be lights, mawar, in the firmament, okay? Now, there are 22 solar and lunar eclipses, 22 solar, lunar eclipses that perfectly mark the end times, mark the apocalypse, okay? And I have another video on that, but they mark the time perfectly. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description field. You watch this video, I go through each one. There is a perfect sequential order to the eclipses. Everyone got all excited in the blood moons, right? Back in the spring of 2014. They didn't know what it meant. Why? Because they're following a wrong calendar. Follow the right calendar, you see a perfect order, perfect sequence. We'll get into it. We'll show you guys, okay? So, herein we see this sequence, Numbers 1 through 10. Now, the other thing I want to mention, I'm going to probably do another message on this, guys, but you guys know the story of Joshua, okay? You know, Joshua went with the Ark of the Covenant, went around Jericho 7 times, right? It was 7 days. So they blew the trumpet. They went around 7 days. They blew what? 7 trumpets. Okay? Now, when they did that, guys, they did that after Passover. Okay? So let's keep in mind of what we have going on. We have 12 days before Passover. Very, very significant with these spoons, Esther's preparation, the oil being weighed, okay? The rod of iron given to the male child, everything is happening, okay? Then we have these trumpets, okay? Then it doesn't say precisely, but obviously Joshua kept the Passover, all right? But after that, then the Lord instructed him to march around Jericho 7 times, and now we have 7 trumpets. So clearly in Revelation chapter 8, we saw 7 trumpets, okay? Now you might normally think of trumpets on the Feast of Trumpets. You're like, okay, wouldn't that make sense? Well, God didn't do that, guys. He had Joshua blow 7 trumpets. Okay, 7 priests had 7 trumpets. He did that after Passover. He did that in the spring. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain, is that there are things in Revelation chapter 8, which we have the spoon. We have the spoon offering that is taking place after the first day of the first of the year. Okay, leading to Passover. So we have 12 days leading to Passover, and we have 7 days after Passover of Joshua. Okay? This is very, very significant. This is what we're watching for, and you may say many times, you know, Leland, you're always telling us to watch. Yes, I am. Because, you know, no man knows the day or the hour, guys. But what I'm saying is I'm just saying this stuff is real. All right. Now, another thing I want to talk about before I conclude the message here, before we wrap it up, is the spoons. Okay. So we saw here, the spoons are 120 shekels, right? Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the council of 120 because I believe something else is going on here. Now, sometimes, guys, you may think I know everything I'm saying. I don't, actually. A lot of what I do, I only know a certain piece. And so what I do is I declare it, okay? Now, all the things I've been telling you since I went on the mountain and blew the trumpet, I didn't know. I just do this by faith. I do this by obedience. I blew the trumpet not knowing what it meant, everything, okay? I just did it. And that's what I'm doing, again, right here, is that there's something else going on in this time. Okay, so we have 120 people. These are judges. Okay, these are people that are judging the virgins. All right, and we showed you before in 2 Chronicles chapter 5 of them, essentially them assembling in the 7th month, which we know is the Day of Atonement. Okay, and we know that they had 120 trumpets. Okay, so you have 120 trumpets. Being blown in the 7th month, okay? All right, now we're in the 1st month. Well, tomorrow is, at least here. I don't know when the video is going to upload, but we have these offerings of spoons, 120 shekels, okay? So now something else is coming up, all right? So we have 12 days, all right? Now, I also want to explain and declare some on the council of 120. Now, I love this stuff. I love it, love it, love it. Because when you're in the army, don't you want to know who your superior officers are? Don't you want to know about the man-child? Don't you want to know about the leaders? That's who these people are, 120. All right. Now, in Daniel chapter 6, verse 1, the king Darius, which we know is Cyrus, guys. Okay, so we know Cyrus' decree, 70 years. Okay, so this happened, all right? So the year of Cyrus we're in, okay? And then he set over his kingdom 120 princes, okay? So what we're saying is these people are real, man. And they're being assembled. They're being given the rod of iron. They're being given gifts according to the king, all right? Now, the days of the king and Esther, all right, he reigned from India to Ethiopia. All right, let me say that again. He reigned from India to Ethiopia. That's part of the reason I'm here, all right? Now, and he set over the kingdom 127 provinces. All right, we say, well, Leon, that's 127. That's not 120. Well, 120 is part of it, all right? I got other videos. Please watch the 120. This is amazing stuff. Okay. Then in Esther 2:18, the king made a great feast to his princes and servants, Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces. And he gave gifts according to the state of the king. So he gave the rod of iron. He gave them the spoon, okay, to measure the incense, okay. He gave them, gifts, okay. So he did this according to the state of the king. When the virgins were gathered a second time, okay, Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Okay, so they're sitting on a seat, they're sitting on a throne, they're sitting in the king's gate, they're given a rod of iron, they are the spoons, judging, okay? But in Esther 8, verse 9, it says the lieutenants and governors and rulers of the provinces from India to Ethiopia were 127 provinces. So there we also see them judging, okay? So, guys, this is a council. All right, so there's something going on with this council coming up soon in this first month. Just like there was in the 7th month, something very significant happened with them. And we also know in this time period, there's the spoons. Okay, now, sometimes people say to me, okay, you quote too much the Old Testament. Well, we also know in Act 1:15 that there are 120 that waited in the upper room.
Hello.
Yellam. And we have this council taking place before Pentecost, okay? They waited for the promise of the Father. And, 50 days, okay? Lord Jesus had his ministry, public ministry, 2.5 years, okay? Then they waited in the upper room 50 days, okay? So these are councils, all right? So, guys, something is happening. Please watch the links in the description field. I'm going to have all this is coming together amazingly. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for the new subscribers. Please watch the new videos. All these things are coming together. Watch the 4 camps, okay? We're talking about, watch the video on the 24 elders, okay? Watch the link in the description field for the 120 princes. Guys, I've talked about all of this before. Now these councils are happening. Now these things are happening. The camps are being assembled. We're going to war. Everything is happening so soon, okay? So I don't know when this is going to upload, but it's going to be soon. And I say Happy New Year. God bless you. And keep watching, guys. I have so much more to also go over and share. Okay, God bless you.